Hello and welcome to Brokenomics. Now, a couple of episodes ago, I was doing a predictions on 2025 and the sort of things that Trump might do when he comes into office. And one of those things was he could reveal information on so-called conspiracy theories, confirming them one way or another. We speculated on that. And I idly mentioned during that bit that wouldn't it be fun if me and Bo sat down and had a proper back and forth on some of these conspiracy things. Anyway, you, the lovely audience, were quite unanimous that that was indeed something you wanted to see. And so Bo joins me to do exactly that.
All right.
Yes.
Should be fun. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, absolutely,
Should
right.
be good.
First on the list is MK Ultra.
Right, yeah.
So do you want to tell them about that, or shall I?
Well, so it's up to you, but yeah, there's lots about that. It's sort of certainly the case that it was real.
So they basically gave people drugs. People didn't know they would be given drugs. I think they started off giving it to Johns in whorehouses, and then they basically just spread it. And they just let's just give loads of people drugs and see what happens.
So nowadays, from multiple different sources of people that have retired, basically, it's come out that it's all true, really. Because for a while, like LSD was a part of it, wasn't it? A big part of it.
Yes.
For a while, for quite a few years, LSD wasn't illegal because it's new. It's a synthetic drug. It's man-made, right? There's hallucinogens that occur naturally in nature, but LSD itself is completely man-made. So in the first few years, there was no legislation banning it. And in that window of time, not just the American intelligence services, but various other intelligence services thought they'd just experiment. It might be a way to melt people's minds to the point where they don't know what's going on and you can actually get information out of them. Now, remember, it's the Cold War, though. I'm not trying to give them a pass or trying to justify it or anything. But during the height of the Cold War, the 50s, 60s, and even into the 70s, organisations like the CIA were looking to do anything they could.
Oh, they were doing lots of weird stuff.
Anything they could.
They even had a unit set up to investigate the paranormal and psychic connections and stuff like that.
Like the men that stare at goats.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Interestingly, they did actually get one useful bit of technology out of that.
What was that?
So what they did is they hooked people's brains up to these things to monitor their thoughts, and they were trying to connect with psychic connections, stuff like that. And it turns out that what you could do with this is that you could connect people's brains up, right? And you could show them a picture of, say, like a tank or an aeroplane. And you would record the signal that it makes when they saw that. And then what you could do is you could show somebody a rapid series of thousands of aerial photos, far too quick for the person to say, oh yeah, there was a tank in one of those, or there was a plane in one of those. But nevertheless, the little brain spike still happened. So you could use the human computer to scan a vast amount of it. They don't need to do it now because of AI. But there was that period where it was actually a useful bit of kit, one thing that actually came out from that. So
that is interesting. I mean, one of the things, for example, there were even some British spies that talked to the Americans admitted that the Americans, people like James Angleton, were into all this sort of thing. The idea being that if they got, it's all about agents and double agents. You want to know what's really true. So say you get a Soviet defector. You want to know whether he's a fake defector or not, because there's this whole idea of fake defectors, that the Soviets let someone, in inverted commas, defect, but actually they're only ever going to peddle misinformation.
Yes.
That's sort of a classic espionage
That's quite clever
thing to do, yeah. We did it to the Nazis loads during World War II, the Brits. We sort of was the best at that time. So if you've got a defector, you want to know, or if you've got a double agent, you're running a double agent, when they come back, you want to know they're definitely telling you the truth.
You give them LSD for that?
Well, so they didn't really know what you could or couldn't do with LSD. All they knew is that it warped your mind and it changed your sense of perception, and maybe they could use it as some sort of truth serum. You can't really.
Right.
But they didn't know that. So therefore, that's why
they have got a truth serum.
Well, there's certain drugs which make you more or less likely to tell the truth.
Yeah.
Like some people can beat a lie detector, the machine. Some people can. Most people can't, but some people can. So some people are susceptible to a truth serum. A lot of people aren't, particularly if you're trained or all sorts of things. I mean, they would do anything to sort of break you, things like put you in a completely white room with no windows and the light never going off for days and days and days. So you've got no sense of... There's various ways to try and break people's will, try and get them to tell the truth, least of all just torture, right? Usually torture, not always, but usually torture will work.
I've always thought that. I've always heard...
Everyone's got a breaking point, nearly everyone.
That was the thing during the Obama era. They kept on saying torture doesn't work, and I just thought, I bet it does.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that you might end up breaking them so thoroughly that they'll admit to anything. That's the problem. It's funny, in the ancient world, or in the medieval world, certainly in ancient Rome, they thought that evidence given under torture was more reliable than if you weren't under torture. So you would almost certainly get tortured. Anyway. Thing with MK Ultra is this idea of trying to... It's just to experiment to see what can or couldn't be done with all sorts of drugs, but particularly LSD.
Right.
And, or mescaline, or there's different forms. There's all different types of drugs that they can do. And I mean, even Alan Dulles, the head of the CIA...
We'll be coming back to him.
He allowed his son to be experimented on mildly.
Right.
His son got wounded. Was it in Korea or Vietnam? I think it was Korea. He got badly wounded, like shrapnel in the head or something or other. Shot in the head, but not killed. But he was sort of disabled for the rest of his life.
Right.
And so they put him into like a hospital.
Right.
Where you stay forever, sort of a hospital, more like a long-term hospice where you're just cared for. And the CIA came to him and said, can we try stuff on him? And Alan Dulles said, yeah,
so,
go on.
To be fair, I mean, that seems like... I mean, if you're in a hospital and you can't move for the rest of your life, I mean, I think you should be allowed psychedelics. Dinosaurs aren't real. Have you ever seen a dinosaur, Bo?
I've seen fossilised remains of dinosaurs, yeah.
Right.
I've not seen a live one.
Yes. So I think when they say dinosaurs aren't real, I think they mean dinosaurs are never real. Although apparently birds are like direct descendants of dinosaurs, to the point where we can basically just say that birds are dinosaurs. I mean, it's interchangeable.
I mean, flat Earth comes out of, not entirely, but often it's sort of it can be an early Christian thing.
Oh, that's definitely what's going on here with dinosaurs.
And the dinosaurs, often it's a creationist thing.
Yeah, because if you read
the
Bible...
They don't want to accept that the Earth is in fact billions of years old.
Because they go like 9,000 years or something, don't they?
Some, yeah.
So therefore, there can't be dinosaurs. So I can imagine if you're a Christian, you have to get to this position.
It's not all Christians. It's a particular type of creationist, isn't it? It's not all Christians, but at all.
Yes.
You get geologists that are Christians. There's no problem. It's just a particular type of creationism.
Yes.
Where they won't accept evolution.
Now, but yeah.
And people that won't accept Darwin and the theory of evolution. It's all wrapped up in that dinosaurs aren't real, or that the geological record is not what you've been led to believe it is. Yeah. And once again, I put it in the same category as flat Earth, is that you're just not accepting reality. You're failing to reason properly. Geology is real. So the Earth is billions of years old, and if you go down to certain strata, it must be millions of years ago, and there you will find fossilized remains of megafauna and flora. So it's just a complete nonsense and cope that dinosaurs aren't real.
Yes,
for me,
I agree with you on that one.
It's just
right. Last two now. Mandela Effect. So this is interesting. So this is the idea that timelines shift every now and again, and I don't even know what the Mandela Effect directly refers to. Apart from, so what is it Mandela's supposed to have done? Because it's something like that we all remember him coming out of prison.
I'm not sure.
So I don't know what it... But I'll tell you one weird thing.
Sorry, I don't know.
It's like, okay, so I'll give you my version of the Mandela Effect. Okay. That interview about... So that film about vampires with Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt in it, what's that called?
Do you mean Christian Slater? Was it Interview with a Vampire you talk about?
Yeah, I thought it was Interview with the Vampire. Go and look at it. It's actually Interview with the Vampire.
Oh, okay.
So that's Mandela Effect number one.
Okay, I see.
Mandela Effect number two, right? Okay. Do you remember that scene in James Bond? Well, I think it was Moonraker, where Jaws, the guy with the big teeth, comes down, he crashes, and then there's this girl who happens to be standing there, and he grimaces and shows his teeth to this girl, and rather than turning and running away, she smiles back at him, but she's got braces,
Okay, I vaguely remember. I
and-
have
and
seen
the-
that film a number
and
of
the
times.
two
but...
kind of fall in love straight away,
Okay,
right? Because they both got weird metal
vaguely-
shit on their teeth.
I don't know. Yeah.
Right. If you go back and watch that scene now, she doesn't have braces.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, well, the scene doesn't make any sense then.
All right.
So it's weird stuff like that. It's like, but again, it comes back to what we probably talked about earlier. It could also just be that we don't remember stuff as well as we think. And that's why we think there's a Mandela effect going on.
Probably that. I mean, we said it earlier. I've definitely had that. Yeah. I've had it in the past where someone said to me, do you remember the time you did XYZ or you said XYZ? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I categorically did not do that. And then they show footage on an old camcorder or a photograph of the thing. And you're like, well, I can't refute that. I'm not refuting that. I'm not mad. So it did happen. I was wrong. My memory was wrong. So everything I thought I knew about reality concerning that thing was wrong.
So
I've lived that out a number of times. Most people must have out there.
That it's probably false memories as opposed to shifting timelines. But I don't completely dismiss it.
I've had false memories where something has happened, and I've thought to myself later, I've thought to myself, wouldn't it be better if it played out like this instead? I've got to be careful that I don't overthink that and think that's what really happened.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Or another thing I did, it's really bad to say, but I've been on holidays with more than one girlfriend to Rome, right?
At the same time?
No.
Right.
Over the years.
Okay.
I've been to Rome like 6 times.
Yeah.
Now, the memories of which holiday was which and which girl I was with and when... It's all mixed up. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Yes.
It's terrible. So the idea that you can have false memories, 100%. 100%. In fact, one time I said to the girlfriend I was with, I was like, do you remember when in Rome, like a year ago, when we went to Rome?
You don't want to do that.
I did it. She was like, that wasn't me. I'm like, oh my God, it's so embarrassing. It's like saying the wrong name during or something. It's like, it couldn't have been more embarrassing. It's really bad. So false memories are definitely real.
I've had a thing where I've had a repeating dream, and then afterwards, because it's happened a couple of times, I can't remember what was the dream and what was not. I mean, in this particular case, it was a bit bad because the dream was about murdering somebody and stowing them in the attic. And at one point, I definitely did have a thing where I had to think, have I actually killed somebody? And then I thought, I can't have done. But I remembered it. And it threw me off for a while.
I've had a number of dreams. I wouldn't say reoccurring, but half a dozen times, 10 times in my life or whatever. I've had a nightmare where I'm being chased by the police for a murder or for some terrible crime.
Yeah.
The crime itself doesn't happen in the dream, but I'm being chased by the police in the dream. Or I'm about to be picked up.
And you have a memory. You have a memory that you can't distinguish of you being chased by the police.
No, when I wake up for a few minutes, I'm still like in a bit of a panic. Like, what am I going to do? I've got to get out of the country. I've got to. And then you realise, oh wait, I haven't done anything.
If you have a dream that recurs, it's not just for a few minutes. It can be like just after, like normally in your day, you can't remember. So the last one that I thought we should do, we reached the end of the list, but we should throw on the end there because after all, we do work for Carl Benjamin.
Yeah.
Bigfoot.
Well,
because he's a big believer in that.
I would say the exact same thing as I just said about Graham Hancock's Lost Civilization. Right. Gun to the head, I'm saying no, there's no such thing as Bigfoot or Sasquatch or some sort of missing ape man or whatever. But show me a decent bit of evidence and I will immediately flip and say, fine, good, interesting, brilliant, amazing.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you introduce me to Bigfoot, then yes, I'm going to
Or even a decent bit of sort of evidence that allows you to infer it even.
Yeah.
Right, a dead body, a dead limb, something that is a decent bit of evidence.
I'm like,
and I'm with you, but there isn't any, as far as I know.
I'm 99.9999% sure it's bullshit.
Right.
For the simple reason that the niche that it fills is already filled by bears.
On their hind legs.
No, I'm saying that the
because people claim to have seen these
different systems have different roles within it, and a large omnivore, that role is already filled by.
You're talking about the actual food web.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
On the food web.
Right. Oh, right. Okay. But what about eyewitness testimony of people saying they've seen like a massive sort of
a Tic Tac,
a Sasquatch?
Yeah. What about the testimony of the pilots who they've seen a Tic Tac do impossible things? I'm not a big, as we talked about a number of times, I'm not a big believer in eyewitness testimony.
And I was playing devil's advocate there. Devil's advocate there.
Yeah.
It's I don't believe him. I wouldn't say 99.999, but for me, it's high 90s.
Yeah.
That it's just bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, give me a decent bit of evidence.
If you would like to see the full version of this premium video, please head over to lotuseaters.com and subscribe to gain full access to all of our premium content.